It is Friday. It's the 11th of October. I'm Monita Rajpal. This is CNN News Center, live from Hong Kong. Our top stories today. Well, the bookies probably didn't see this one coming, but in terms of sending a message, the Nobel Committee did it once again.
Nobel Committee has decided that the Nobel Peace Prize for 2013 is to be awarded to the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW.
Oct11 announced the 2013 Nobel Peace Laureate, and he's the chairman of the Norwegian Nobel Committee. He's also the Secretary General of the Council of Europe, and he joins us now from Oslo, Norway. Sir, thank you very much for being with us. Good to speak to you again. What did the Nobel Committee, what was the deciding factor for them to choose the OPCW?
It is the fact that we may be able now to do away with a whole...
Not to take away from the honor that has been bestowed now on the OPCW, there had been speculation, as you may have already heard, of the list of other potential nominees, including the Pakistani teenager Malala Yousafzai. What was your reaction to that potential nominee, and why she may not have been, and why she wasn't perhaps chosen for this Peace Prize? Fortunately, we have many good candidates every year. Actually, this year, more than 250. And Right. Torbjørn Jagland, the chairman of the Norwegian Nobel Committee. Sir, thank you so much for your time. Just to give you some background now on the organization for the winners of this Nobel Peace Prize, the Organization of the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons has been around since the 1990s, but it is the war in Syria that has turned the spotlight on its work. The OPCW was established in 1997. Its aim is to rid the world of chemical weapons and also strengthen international security. It has 189 member states. The most recent country to join was Somalia back in May. Well, right after the winner was announced, the Nobel Prize Committee tweeted that the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons was picked not just because of Syria, but because of its long-standing work to rid the world of chemical arms, as we heard there from the chairman of the Nobel Committee. CNN's Fred Pleitgen is in Berlin. He joins us now. And Fred, you know, you've been to Syria. You have seen the kind of work that lies ahead for the inspectors and the experts that are part of this group. Give us an idea of what kind of, I guess, impact this kind of award could have on their work.
Oh, it'll have a very large impact. I was also at the OPCW main lab and staging area in the Netherlands just a couple of weeks ago. And
Fred, thank you so much. Fred Pleitgen there live for us from Berlin. Well, Malala Yousafzai, as we've been saying, was thought to be under consideration for the Nobel Peace Prize. The Pakistani teenager has become a very visible advocate for every child's right to an education, even more so after surviving an assassination attempt by the Taliban a year ago. She's been speaking with CNN's Christiane Amanpour and talking about her goals for the future.
I want to become a Prime Minister of Pakistan, and I think it's really good.
The father of NSA leaker Edward Snowden says he thinks his son deserves a Nobel Prize. Snowden has pretty much gone to ground since he fled to Russia earlier this year, but he did venture back into the spotlight to meet with 4 former U.S. government officials in Moscow. Snowden's father is in Moscow and hopes to meet with his son. He says he's not sure if Snowden will ever come back to the United States. You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. One step closer, U.S. lawmakers try to hammer out a deal to end the partial shutdown. You're watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. This time next week, the U.S. government will hit its borrowing limit unless lawmakers reach a deal. That's looking a little more likely. U.S. House Republicans headed to the White House on Thursday with an offer to raise the debt ceiling for a limited time. Brianna Keeler joins us now live from the White House with more on that. Brianna?
Hi there, Monita. Well, it looks like some progress here on the debt ceiling, but will the U.S. government reopen? That is still a question.
Yeah, goodness, who needs the suspense and drama of Breaking Bad when you've got the U.S. government, Brianna?
Yep.
Thank you so much for that. Brianna Keeler there, live for us from the White House. Some of the other stories that we're following for you here at CNN News Center. Libya's prime minister is calling for calm after He was kidnapped at gunpoint and then released hours later. A militia called the Operations Room of Libya's revolutionaries took Ali Zidane from a luxury hotel in Tripoli early Thursday. The militia says he was taken to face what it calls corruption charges, but the government says there aren't any. Human Rights Watch is detailing what it says are crimes against humanity carried out by rebel groups in Syria. A report by the activist group says rebel forces killed up to 190 civilians, many of them execution style, and took 200 hostage. The crimes allegedly took place during a single offensive in August. For the first time since he was imprisoned in North Korea, Kenneth Bae's mother was able to see her son face-to-face. Myung-hee Bae said her son was doing okay. The detained American businessman has been held in a North Korean prison for the past 11 months after he was convicted of plotting to overthrow the government. Bae's family is appealing to the North Korean government for his release from a 15-year sentence. Former Pakistani President Pervez Musharraf has been arrested again, this time in connection with a deadly government raid on an Islamabad mosque in 2007. Watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. Coming up after the break, it's all aboard the world's biggest boat. We visit the container ship so large. Watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong, I'm Monita Rajpal. In the shipping world, there's a new class of container vessel that dwarfs all others. Industry giant Maersk has put in a $2 billion order for the Triple E ships. CNN's Andrew Stevens went aboard.
From the world's biggest shipping container company comes the world's biggest ship. This is the maiden voyage of the Maersk McKinney Moller.
Andrew Stevens, CNN aboard the Maersk McKinney Moller, Hong Kong.
Two tropical cyclones are threatening millions of people in Asia. One of them is now the strongest cyclone ever recorded in the Bay of Bengal. Meteorologist Mari Ramos is at the World Weather Center with more on that. Mari?
Is it definitely a huge storm system and very intense as well. You can see that it takes up the entire Bay of Bengal basin, the cloud stretch.
All right, Mari, thank you very much. You're watching CNN News Center. I'm Monita Rajpal at CNN Hong Kong. Thank you for joining us. I'll update you with the news headlines in just a couple of minutes.